Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
They had told me it was a completely new kind of maxi.
Introducing a revolution.
They said it was miraculously thin and that it protects better than an ordinary maxi. But nothing prepared me for what they showed me.
Introducing Always Ultra Plus.
It wasn't thin, it was flat, and it was practically nothing. I mean, I didn't think I was brave enough or crazy enough to try this. Well, I did, and on my heaviest day, no less, when I usually wear a thick pad.
Always Ultra Plus works better. It has a new ultra-absorbent core that traps moisture inside the pad. Always Ultra Plus protects when other maxis won't.
I felt nothing except protected.
New Always Ultra Plus with wings.
As far as I'm concerned, everything else is history.
Oh man, so the day we're shooting this is 9/24, and a lot of dope things happened on that day in the 90s, man. AC/DC dropped Thunderstruck.
Damn.
Nirvana.
What year was that?
In 1990.
Okay.
Nirvana dropped Nevermind in 91, and on that same day in 91, the Chili Peppers dropped Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Damn. And also a Tribe Called Quest dropped The Low End Theory in 91. All three of the albums. And Dr. Seuss passed away. And I don't know, he might be canceled now, but
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
No, people love Dr. Seuss, right?
Yeah. I Green Eggs and Ham, he's a staple, but people were uncovering truths about the person, the man, and talked about how he treated his wife, cheated on her, and so I don't know, man. It's not hard to find these days, but today Dazed and Confused turns 30 years old, man. That was the first time we heard all right.
How do you feel about that movie, man? I mean, I love stoner movies and I've always loved them, but there's so many, everyone holds that one in such high regard, and to me it's not in the top tier. I like How High and shit like that. I feel like
it's not top tier, but it's I would say too, because the soundtrack for one got me.
Okay.
Yeah, for better or worse, Ted Nugent, yes, he's a piece of work, but that stranglehold, baby, you had me in my place. I'll give you that.
Teddy
that
Nugent?
shit is on. Yeah, man. And then people, they springboarded out of that. Ben Affleck, Matthew McConaughey, obviously.
Yep.
I think Renee Zellweger was in that movie.
I mean, there's the people that made it, popped off. A lot of people did pop off, and it's a good movie. It's like one of those classic movies, but I think it's just the time and when I actually started paying attention to stoner movies more than anything. I always hear people like Dazed and Confused, man, it's the best, and I agree, it's a great movie, but I always wonder my stoner friends how it stacks up,
Yeah, man. I feel like they epitomize that whole era, because it's a retro movie, kind of like how that 70s show, and I think that's what makes that 70s show, the casting, these kids looked the part, the parents, they played their part in both households, from the attire, they wore things that reflected that era. So that happened, and The Good Son dropped on that same day in 93. And that was a good movie. People don't talk about that Macaulay Culkin movie enough, but he did his thing, because he was known as the sweetheart of America, and then he flipped it on motherfuckers, kind of like Hollywood Hogan on some shit. But he owned that shit.
Plus, it's a movie. It's a child acting extravaganza, because you also get Elijah Wood. You know what I'm saying?
They're the focal points,
But yeah, dude, Macaulay in that movie fucked me up, because there was he kills animals in it. He almost kills people in traffic because of it. I don't know if you remember, he makes a little girl fall under ice, and I don't think she dies, but there's where she's under the ice trying to get out of it. It's fucking crazy, dude. And that was wild that they literally had the Home Alone kid that just put him in I guess you'd call it a horror movie, you know?
Kevin McAllister's, bro, you wildin'. You wildin'.
You want to see something?
Dude,
Fucking killing
what is
dogs and shit. I remember being a little kid like, what the fuck?
Dude, Uncle Buck will not like this.
No, dude. He's going to be super disappointed with you.
Dude.
Elijah, I mean, dude, the end of the movie, literally, Elijah, they have to like cliffhang and the mom kills the evil kid. Like, there's an evil kid death in it, Steve. Macaulay gets he falls to his death.
And then they give it like some Danny Elfman score to make it give it like, you know, some happy ending, some silver lining at least.
I like that also. That's why I like that era of like, I don't know, maybe it's not an era, but it's just like a choice. They didn't have to like give it wasn't like, he's been possessed by the devil. It's just a fucked up kid. You know what I'm saying? It's just a fucked up kid.
I think the moral they were trying to sell in that was like, that's what this badass gets.
Yeah, right.
Like the end. That's what his badass shit. It should have been.
And there were no repercussions on the parents because basically, if I remember correctly, maybe this is wrong, but like he's dead, and they're like, okay, we'll take the good Elijah Wood kid now, and he's our son now. So swap one for the other. Yeah. What a weird movie. We should have covered that, Steve. We can't.
Coming in at the number 4 spot, Elijah Wood.
God, dude, that dude. Who do you think? I mean, success-wise, Elijah Wood, but man, Macaulay and Elijah, child actors who, I mean, still are successful. They're still out there. Macaulay's the GOAT too. Yeah,
Macaulay's the GOAT.
But Frodo, dude, fucking Frodo.
Hey, Elijah held it down, but he ain't got those numbers like Macaulay. Like Macaulay, he hosts the SNL, and when you host SNL, like, hey. You hear?
I bet Elijah did too, Steven. We just didn't watch it. You sure?
No.
Never.
The only I know, like the only person of the only like kid of that caliber from that did a hosting.
Oh, you mean as a child? You mean as a child? I'm talking like Elijah eventually did, like when he's in Lord of the Rings.
No, he didn't.
Oh,
he never did.
Okay. Fuck me.
Fred Savage, the only other one.
Yeah, that Macaulay episode though was fire though, and you're right about that. And the Home Alones, 1 and 2, you just can't. There's nothing that's gonna exceed that. North's not gonna do that. North, come on.
Yeah.
North,
like stuff just ain't hitting like that, man.
Have you tried it yet? 10-3-2-1. Well, you should. For quick calls like, oh, did I wake you? 10-3-2-1 saves over AT&T. And for longer calls like, hi, my dearest Granny, I have so much to tell you. 10-3-2-1 saves big time. 50% off all calls over 20 minutes. That's half price. Best part is, you don't even have to switch phone companies. Try it today. Just dial 10-3-2-1, then 1 and the number. Oh, but don't take my word for it. Check your phone bill. Go on, check it.
Well, hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your Boy Meets World and your Boys in the Hood, because I just heard the news today. It seems my life is going to change. I close my eyes, begin to pray, then tears of joy stream down my face with arms wide open under the sunlight. Welcome to this place. I'll show you where. With arms wide open.
Bam.
Scott Stapp and the crew.
Dude,
Y'all did that.
Hell yeah, he did. Scott Stapp with a billowing button-down shirt, fully open, just billowing in the wind, Steve.
He's no Johnny Stamos, but who is? But I feel like you can be in the same circles. You've earned that right. You got the luxurious locks, and you can belt out some tunes.
Here with arms wide open. Also, Steve, rock the Cowboys jersey. I mean, is he a Cowboy? Jersey. Is he a Cowboys fan? You guys might be able to hang out. So
I believe he's from Georgia, but shit, he should be.
shit, Creed. I just saw it weirdly enough. I saw a Creed bumper sticker the other day. I was like, man, that's been a while.
Strictly for the real ones, for my 90s people.
Oh yeah.
Well, today, my friend, we're talking about all things 1990s, 928.
We're keeping that, dude. That's staying, dude. That's in.
Fuck Mary Kill. We're talking about all things September 28 in the fucking 90s, damn it.
Oh, yeah.
Starting off in 1990, I Come in Peace premieres, and that is what the Buddha said after he jerked off.
Yes, dude, that was a good dad joke, bro. That was a fantastic one.
I got them all. A renegade cop is forced to work with an FBI agent in order to bring down a group of drug dealers with sinister plans. Directed by Craig R. Baxley, starring Dolph Lundgren, Brian Benben, Betsy Brantley, and Matthias Hughes. That's his real name.
Wow.
Brian Benben.
Ben. I mean, with the Dolphster, though, you got one Greeno in this. It's going to be fire, Steve.
I like him as a heel.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. He's better that way.
It's kind of like Rick Rude. No, you better not babyface him. He's heel. I like my Kurt Hennig as a heel. I like Dolph Lundgren when he's knocking out old managers and fucking killing Rocky's besties.
You. Yeah, needlessly killing a guy in a fucking boxing match, a charity boxing. It's not even like sanctioned, Steve. He just kills a man, no repercussion.
Yeah. And this movie is fucking ridiculous, man. Because for one, the reason I don't like him being a babyface good guy cop is because it requires him to emote and act. And god damn it, watching Dolph Lundgren act, this ain't what you here for. You here to be a big brute.
Yeah, you're here to look beautiful and punch things. We can't have you. That's why they gave him a Russian accent, Steve. It hides the bad acting. You know,
it hides the bad acting. And the guy next to him, that's Brian Benben, and that's Mr. Dream On. That's the guy on the HBO show that was fucking the hot chick every episode. That's that guy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Him and Brian Benben.
Roles, but he looks in over his head, Steve. In this movie, I mean, whoever shot it. Whoa, what happened there, Steve?
And this predates Terminator 2. And this guy, Mr. Contact Colored Lenses, fucking, he comes from out of space or some shit. And he's come down to wreak havoc, and he kills Dolph Lundgren's former partner, a black guy. So they kind of like Apollo Creed and Rocky as cops kind of deal. And he shoots him with this fucking gun that shoots out like razor blade, like mini CDs, like
little
it's
CD
ridiculous.
Discs? Okay,
like little mini CD disc with fucking razors on the end, like this. You could see like the bottom of the shit.
Okay, all right, little saw blade things. All right, I think I had a toy that did that in the 90s too, oddly enough.
And before he kills people, he always says, "I come in peace," and I hate that. That's his thing.
That's just like, that's his, Jules from Pulp Fiction speech.
We're in the catchphrase era, I guess. It's like, oh, let's try to market him, like see if we can get some dowels in the Kmart.
I mean, at least make it like plural, like pieces, because you're cutting them to pieces with the saw blades. Come in peace makes like, what are we doing here? Just because he's an alien, I guess that's his thing.
Yeah. And it's got that one weird looking guy. He's got like the guy from Aquatine and Hungerford's hair. He's always the villain. His name is Al Leon, and he's got like this a mullet, but there's nothing up top. And he's got like these long whiskers. You've seen him before. He always comes in, even for one scene. He's in Van Damme shit. He's in some like, all of those movies.
All the hitter. Okay, so I guess when you say out of how many Dolph Lundgrens does this movie get? Out of 10 Dolphs, where are we at here?
1.5.
1.5 Dolphs. I mean,
out of 10,
can't all be Rocky 4, Steve. Did you watch this full movie?
I was multitasking. I pushed play, and I tried to keep up. Never do it Yeah, I've done it, and won't do it again. No.
I like that though. I like keep it on in the background. So even in a keep it on in the background, it's not sufficing. Well, Dolph, you heard it here. Erase this one from the backlog.
Please. And also in 1990, King of New York premieres. A drug kingpin is released from prison and seeks to take total control of the criminal underworld in order to give back to the community. Directed by Abel Ferrara, starring Christopher Walken, Lawrence Fishburne, David Caruso, Victor Argo, Wesley Snipes, Teresa Randall, Giancarlo Esposito, Steve Buscemi, and Paul Calderone.
It's amazing. This movie's fire. Walken's fire. This Lawrence Fishburne, Larry Fishburne, I think maybe back in the day he was credited
At this
as.
point,
Uh, his performance in this as like a psychotic gangster is top notch. And also, I said this to Kendra because she'd never seen this. I was like, back in the day when I saw this for the first time, I was like, man, Lawrence Fishburne, just like he's like a chaos machine in this movie. He just does crazy shit all the time, and he's like laughing. He's like a Joker almost, and that's what I said. He's like almost like this gangster Joker in this movie. That he's so good in it. Everyone is.
well, in all hood movies, you got to have that live wire.
Yeah, but just him, like he's always like he has like this crazy laugh. He's got a great line in the beginning where I think it's the opening of the movie. They're doing a drug deal. Lawrence Fishburne comes in. He's got the briefcase. They're doing the money thing. The guy opens up the briefcase. It's just filled with dozens of tampons. And the guy's like,
Yeah.
what are these for? And he's like, for the bullet holes, pussy. And he just blows the dudes away. I love that.
He did his thing in this, man. He dug his feet in the sand.
Yeah.
And Christopher Walken, man, he plays a role that I wasn't used to seeing him in.
He's kind of more of like this. I don't know if this gives you like, it gives you some of like those Walken things you want where he's like, kind of like funny and like weird and wacky. But I feel
Quirky.
like this is more like a quiet performance from Christopher Walken. He's just sort of like, he gets out of jail. He's like sort of just moving through this world, like, and everyone, he's this big thing. But I don't remember. I like the things I remember from this movie, obviously, are like the Lawrence Fishburne parts, but he is good in it. But it's like, it's not like a deer hunter thing, He's just like sort of like this quiet psychopath.
Probably gangster, but there was an element of like this Robin Hood. He was going to be like the Robin Hood of the hood.
Yeah. And I do like Steve Buscemi. I like he's credited, but I think he's only in the opening as a guy who tests cocaine to make sure it's real.
No, he's in there a couple times. And one thing I appreciate about this movie is his crew. It's like an equal opportunity crew. Yeah, I don't know if you were seeing that especially in New York in this time, man. It would be all black or all Irish or all Italian. He's got, some Steve Buscemi. He's got a young Giancarlo Esposito. He's got Larry Fishburne. Shit,
yeah.
man. He's got some hitters.
And on the opposite side with the cops, we talked about David Caruso recently, but he's great in this. And I honestly, Steve, it's crazy. And I slapped myself for this. I forgot Wesley Snipes was in this movie. I don't know how I did it. I think more of the villains in this, but he kills it too. It's a fucking fantastic gangster movie. And I don't know. There's a lot of those in the '90s. I don't know where, like, if we're ranking them, but it's up there. There's a lot of fucking great actors in this.
Because of this movie, Notorious B.I.G. would nickname himself Frank White.
Frank White.
And according to Abel Ferrara, the director, he said that Wesley Snipes was living in his car at the time, and he got this job because him and David Caruso, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know this, man. They're besties, and David Caruso, man, he threw him a bone, and from this performance, from both of them, they would blow up, man. He would get the role with NYPD Blue. Wesley would be on New Jack City, not too long after this, man. And
damn, New Jack City, man. I guess I never even thought of the timeline on this. I thought this came after New Jack City for some reason. That's wild.
Yeah, I think at this point, the only thing he had to his name was the Willie Mays Hayes in '89, and he was in a very like cult. I guess you could say cult classic. A lot of people don't talk about this, man. Goldie Hawn, Wildcats. She plays like their football coach. It's her, Wesley Snipes, a young Woody Harrelson. That's the only thing I remember seeing him in before this.
Yeah, but that's wild, dude. Snipes. Wesley Snipes in his car. That's wild to think about. Dude's so prolific. I know he had the tax thing, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, this movie, it was on my DVD shelf when I have it. I think I actually still have that somewhere. I think that's one I rebought because it's so good. And I'd encourage anybody that's listening to this, if you haven't seen this movie and you like gang movies, this is a good one. It's long, but it's worth it.
And Larry Fishburne, his damn killing scene, it's one of the most insane, drawn out. Shoot me, motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah.
At
That's
some
a little
point, I'm
wild.
like, hey, Davy boy, pops, I'm gonna see this shit.
But it's fires. You know it's good. He had to go for that Oscar, dude. Fuck it.
Come on now. But that following year, 1991, Saturday Night Live is airing the season 17 premiere with musical guest Public Enemy and your host, Michael Jordan.
Goated episodes of SNL, Steve. And if you're talking sports athletes that are hosting,
especially,
this is it.
Especially Matthew.
This and Gretzky. I don't know, like maybe we put The Rock in there if we're going modern, but like it's those are the two. And this one, man, we're gonna get into it, but fuck, they killed this.
Oh man, and this is the golden era for us, man. This is that cast, and we start off with the opening segment of Wayne's World. What a way to start it off, man. It's time to party. Party on, Matt.
It's 10:30, bud. Wayne's World, party time, excellent. And we're coming off a summer, Steve. This is episode 1 of the season, so summer's off, and it's time to recap the summer of 1991 Wayne's World style, Steve. Lots going on.
That's worse the summer of 91. Coup d'etat in the Soviet Union? Huh. Oh man, I want to use that. What a coup, sir.
And so, Steve, we get a couple things. I mean, these are time capsule sketches in that they're covering like worst magazine cover story. And for them, it's People Magazine Sexiest Man Alive, Patrick Swayze being announced. As if. Yeah. Fucking domed out. So he's got a big ass 5 head, Steve, and they go in on
I don't like that. No, it's shitting on the Sways.
Yeah. Best magazine cover though, Demi Moore on the August Vanity Fair. Hey Demi Moore, how about a little Demi less?
He thought it was appropriate. Not.
Worst chick movie, Thelma and Louise. Basically Wayne explains that the overall message is men bad, women good. Freud called it vagina dentata.
Scariest chick in a movie, Linda Hamilton in T2.
Swing. But I love these Wayne's World, and I just gotta say, I watched like the original Wayne's World movie. It's crazy that they made these sketches into a full-grown movie. It's wild to me, and the movie's funny as fuck. So shout out to Mike Myers and Dana Carvey, dude. They killed it.
I love how they started the season off with this, man, because they get a pop at the beginning, man. Like they've been established at this point. People have gotten these characters familiarized, and it's like, yes, we look forward to this. What are they going to say now? Oh, and yeah. That we get that classic cast, and then introduce to the GOAT, the host, the man himself, man. If I can be like Mike.
I wanna be like Mike. Bow. Look how cool he looks, dude. He's coming out here
clean.
Fucking just clean. He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't even really seem that nervous. You know, you see people get in here and they're over their head. He's a little stiff, but he's Mike, dude. He don't give a fuck. He's out here.
I think that's what the glasses were for.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of people, one thing I was like, I couldn't remember this because this is a very memorable episode for a lot of reasons, but I couldn't remember his monologue. And I was like, usually they make sports guys, like they just like rely on like the cast, but they let him talk. Like they just kind of let him go. And like, he starts talking about how people are worried about how he does too many commercials. He's just proliferated everything. He's all over the place. And he's like, well, you know, sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes that's a bad thing, but let me show you. Let me show you an example where I went wrong. Where I threw one and it just didn't come back, and that
Yeah.
was, go for it, Steve.
The first one is a show. It's a commercial with Julia Sweeney and about feminine secret for her not so fresh feeling. And
Sometimes I'm just not feeling so fresh, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, I get it. And that's when you need these tampons.
yeah.
Oh,
So that was out, and then the next one that shit had me. It starts off with like a Showtime Skinamax fucking scene, and Michael Jordan pops up in the forefront, and he's touting a hardcore porn tape, and it's got his label on it. It's kind of like approved by Michael Jordan or some shit.
it's
It's
an
like,
endorsed
wow,
porno, dude. He endorsed. It's like Michael Jordan presents Naughty
yeah.
Night Nurse, Naughty Night Nurses 75. You know,
You know, if they would have made a feminine secret, if they would have made some porn tape with his name on it, motherfuckers would buy that solely for the purpose of it being Michael Jordan associated, because he just has that touch still to this day, man.
Air Jordan tampons, those things would be flying off the shelves and into women because of the greatness. You know, I would
Like
assume they're the best.
they'll
You know,
they'll win at life. Like, so like this will clean it better, of course.
well, you know, I like that he's acknowledging the mistakes, but you know, I gotta say, like you, Steve, the porno one, I would have done it. Fuck it. They can't take away You're not gonna, when you score 80 points a game, they're gonna let you
Yeah.
have a couple of endorsements on some porno tapes. That's cool, you know. Butt Bongos 5 presented by Michael Jordan. That's cool. I'm into it.
Yeah. Dirty Cheerleaders, Volume 17. With Michael Jordan, shit. Put that man's name on toilet paper and the shit will sell. Pardon the pun. But man, up next is an instant classic, man. And we get to see the camaraderie, the chemistry between Adam Sands and Chris Farley with Schmidt's Gay. Man, priceless.
This is it. This might be the best commercial that they've ever made. Colon blows right up there. There's a couple other ones, but this, dude, thank you. Nice house sitting job, dude. I love every part of this. And yeah, when they look over, there's dongs in the foreground, and they look over and they're like, thank you.
Yes. Yes.
You boys look like you need to get wet. Okay,
Yeah.
this is
With
the
some
most hilarious fucking thing I've ever seen, Steve.
with some Van Halen thrown there in there, because why not?
Yeah.
The little David Lee Roth won't hurt nobody.
On top of the world.
Oh, yeah.
If you've got a
Beautiful girl.
if you've got a big thirst and you're gay, reach for a bottle of Schmidt's Gay.
Oh man. And
But
was that
is
Phil
this the
Hartman?
Is hell yeah, it was. Is
Yeah.
this the first time this ever aired?
This is
This
the
is
first
it.
time, man.
I mean,
Yeah.
dude, that in and of itself, right there, you have the best
Right
episode.
there.
Right there.
And
So good.
next, man, this is fucking great. The first Black Harlem Globetrotter. And it's about basically, it's saying that Globetrotters initially were all white. And
Yep.
then there was a guy that was on the team and he didn't pan out. And it wasn't until much later that it became all black.
Previous to this, the Globetrotters were white as the driven snow. And then comes in Sweet River Baines.
Yeah,
Again,
Sweet River Baines.
Sweet River Baines, dude. I love this because, I mean, Jordan doesn't do much than be Jordan, but Phil Hartman in
Yeah.
this is one of the funniest things of all time.
Bring in the Negro boy, Danny. Sweet River. Think you're ready to be a Globetrotter?
They're gonna call you
Yes.
stuff, Sweet River. They're gonna
You're
say,
gonna say things like Blackie. Hey, look at that Blackie. Get rid of that Blackie. How did that Blackie get on the team? I don't want to play with that Blackie. Don't pass the Blackie.
He's really stuck on that one thing, but
Yeah.
Sweet River goes in that game one, Steve. He must score like 500 points. I don't know, triple double. I don't know what he does, but it's the first like 10, 10, 10. I don't know. But,
184 to 48.
he kills it. But you know, greatness is not what these people want, Steve. He actually offends all these whiteys by doing so well. So back in comes, I like that Phil Hartman was like, I'm with you, Sweet River. And then like after this, he's like,
Yeah.
it's not working out, Sweet River. It's just
Yeah.
not working. You gotta go.
His teammates, they sign a petition to get Sweetwater off the team. And then like I found it funny when he looks at Dave Spade, and he's like, even you too, Pee Wee?
So actually Phil Hartman's like, everyone's like, you better stop playing like us. So he like holds back and they lose.
He's got his back. He's like, he's funny in this too. He's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he's green, dark green, lime green.
I don't care what color he is. He's Sweet River Baines, for God's sakes. But Sweet River loses. Then he goes home, and after the loss, and I think this is his sister,
Ellen Cleghorne.
But she's like,
she's fucking hilarious.
You gotta play, Sweet River. You gotta go.
You can't listen to him, Sweet River. You gotta remember what Mama and Daddy said. You ain't no punk.
And so he goes out, plays lights out again, and then the public turns on him. And go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
Well, like Phil Hartman, he's sleeping with his sister.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Because he's like, yeah. Jordan's like, maybe you're right. Of course she's right.
He just comes out of the closet. Whoa.
What do you think? I'm not good enough to sleep with a black woman?
Hey, I get it, Phil. I love that. Phil's in there. And then we do cut to the next game. He scores 500 points. And then the public turns on him, and all this support Phil Hartman's owner character is played. He's like, Sweet River, I've tried, but it's not working out. You have to go. Back to the whites. And he sends him on his way, and that's basically it. And then the narration starts. I think he says it was another 20 years before another black person would be on the team. Ultimately, he was a footnote in history, but technically, Sweet River Baines was the first black Harlem Globetrotter. What a great sketch, dude. I don't even think that they would make some shit like this anymore, you know? Because I feel like it's too spicy like that with the racial shit. Do you think they would do this now?
If it's well done like this, yeah, man. I've looking at the stuff on was it Key and Pill? I think they towed that line a couple times.
Yeah, but I feel like I think because it's Key and Peele and it's like dudes who are also of mixed race, like they sort of can they can push that line a little bit further. But this was hilarious, and this would be a good sketch even if it was like not involving Michael Jordan. It was just fucking funny as fuck, you know. But next we get, I mean, this is another classic. This is filled with classics. Bill Swersky's Super Fiends, starring George Wendt.
And this is one of the ones that we remember from this.
This is in the best of. There's many best ofs that this skit is in, but Bob's sitting in for Bill because Bill Swersky just is recovering from another heart attack. I love these Chicago accents. Bill, Bob, and they're coming from Ditka's restaurant, Steve. And they're here to talk Da Bears. Da Bears.
And their Fred Todd, he showed up even though he had another heart attack earlier this week. That shows dedication. And they're doing their predictions. The Bears play the Bills this upcoming Sunday. I'm thinking 31 to -7.
Yeah. And then, after we talk about that, they do talk about Todd's recent heart attack, and it turns out he has a piece of Polish sausage lodged somewhere right here, Steve. Right in this ventricle area, Steve. But then Michael Jordan comes in. They got the goat to come to the show. So Jordan sits down. Now they're talking doubles. And they're going around the horn, and I forget who gets to it, but they're like, we're looking at maybe a 3-peat, 4-peat. I'm thinking minimum 8-peat here, Mike. What are you thinking? And, I think Mike's all about that, Steve.
Dude, ironically, the numbers match, man, because he would go on to win. He already just came from his first championship, and he would win 5 more in that decade. So that's 6. And if you count the years where he was out, when the Rockets won those 2 years, that would have been an 8-peat. So I just found that ironic, man.
Well, he's
yeah,
the air man.
they're going they're going around the table, and I think it's George went as, why don't you just play these countries by yourself? Like, because the Olympics are coming up.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, I don't think that would work. We can't do that.
I get that. But what about you and a certain coach Ditka? It always goes back to it. And as they're discussing this, Todd has another heart attack mid-show. He pushes through, and then right at the end, they're like, "How many is that for you, Todd?" "That's a baker's dozen for me, Bob." Again. And then Mike starts talking about his charity, and he's going in depth. But as he's talking about the charity, we sort of get an inside view of what everyone's thinking, and most of it, it's like, "The Bears." But when they get to Todd, he's like, "Ditka, Polish sausage, Bears, Ditka." And the look on his face that he has while he's saying it, so he has like a piece of food hanging out. It's so good, dude. And then really to sign off, we come back and it's time to end the show. So Todd had actually arranged to do a ritual that he's performed only a few times in his life to honor Michael Jordan. And the last time he performed this was actually on January 6, 1986, the last time the Bears won the Super Bowl. The ritual itself is just him wearing a weird hula outfit and just gyrating and saying "the Bears."
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe this also gave Jordan a little extra luck too, moving forward in his life, Steve. So I'd like to think that.
Shout out to that hula dance. And up next we have the first musical performance by Public Enemy, and they're doing "Can't Trust It." Can't trust it. No.
I love Flavor Flav's got a witch hat on the whole time, just for whatever reason. But this, I don't know, man. I love this because they don't have, now in SNL, if you watch musical, they set up all these backgrounds. I like it when they have them just doing it at the SNL stage and they're just doing it. It's this is a great, it almost feels like it's not unplugged, but they have those weird background dancer posing guys that just sort of
the S1s, man. Yeah. Dude, I saw Public Enemy when they were on the Kings of Old School or something, old school hip hop, and they were there, Ice Cube, LL, De La Soul, and just watching them perform, because it's like they're, I want to say choreographer more so than backup dancer, because they're in unison. When you're seeing that, with Chuck D, one of the most boisterous voices that stands out. He's like a Martin Luther King of hip hop. He has that same delivery. And then Flav, bro.
Yeah, he definitely has that sound. Nobody can replicate that.
And Flav, man, his purpose, he fucking owns that shit, bro. He's he adds that flavor, that color, that pizzazz, man. The greatest hype man of all time, man. So that, and you got the guys in the background doing their thing and just pop locking to the beat.
So when you saw them at the thing you were talking about, they still had those dudes in the background doing that shit. That's cool. It does look cool visually, but I was like, man, what an easy background dancing gig though. They got people doing handstands and shit on other people. These guys are just doing pointing and shit. But it does look cool. I'm not talking.
No, dude. They have actual routines, man, where at some point in the song, they'll do something at the same time and they mirror each other, and then they'll go doom, and and when you're seeing it, everybody's in sync doing it, man. Not missing a beat. That shit is so fucking fire. But this performance, man, both of them are wearing Jordans. Both of them are fly. Look at Chuck D with the crispy ass Cincinnati red hat. My man Flav with the jump. That's probably a Jordan jumpsuit. And just fly, bro, with the fucking Macho Man shades.
I was gonna say those Macho Man shades. I was looking at those the whole time, damn, those look cool.
Flowers for both y'all, man.
Oh yeah.
Wicked style. I fucking Can't get enough of it, man. But now we got a weekend update, and this is the Kevin Nealon era. Thank God that hack is
Hey,
gone,
babe.
babe.
I'm
Uh,
gone, babe. Yeah, this is
uh,
great. And Kevin Nealon, we've talked about this a lot, but he's one of my favorites. I think Norm's my favorite. He just because of his style, but this is right up there. We're still in this weird era of like shitting on Pee Wee Herman a lot, and I do
yeah,
like his joke here where he's like, "Okay," they show a thing of Pee Wee, and he's like, "Nah, I'm not gonna beat that dead horse."
it
Like,
was. Yeah,
fucking, um, and there's like there's you get vintage Kevin Nealon, but I think the real thing, Steve, that comes from this is we get a reading of Green Eggs and Ham from the Reverend Jesse Jackson himself. I was like, when I read it on the description before I saw it, I was like, well, clearly somebody's going to be playing Reverend Jesse Jackson. No, this is Jesse Jackson, y'all, and he's reading Dr. Seuss, and it's hilarious, but he's not. I mean, he's just reading it in his like tone, and it's fantastic.
in a very reverent way. I do not like green eggs and ham. Sam, I am.
I will not try them, those green eggs and ham. I mean, this guy he eats up. Like at one point, I think the audience thought the shit was over, and then he goes into like round two of it, and
Yeah,
it's killing. I don't know.
his
It's just a
comedic
weird
timing.
thing.
He knew when to stop. He's like, let me get my pop. Yeah, they feeling the kid. Yeah.
Hell
And
yeah.
then I'm gonna go back into it because he hosted back in the 80s. I want to say mid to late 80s. He hosted in the Not So Good cast, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. No,
I didn't know that.
I,
I really didn't.
yeah,
That's crazy. I mean, Jesse Jackson, man, like this dude's been famous for, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, he's still around, right?
he's still
He's
with us,
around, he's
man.
with us. So it's cool he actually had, or I think he still has, but he had like a sense of humor about it. He'd do these things. I
For
like
sure,
that.
man. And up next is a skit that I usually don't care about, but once again, this is one of the more memorable ones, man. Daily Affirmations with Stuart Smiley, and he usually has the show by himself, but this time he has a guest, and it's none other than
Yeah, he's been. I love this one because this one I don't remember this like being the run through joke, but it's him like shitting on himself like with all these like crazy like thoughts he has, and he keeps like veering the interview back into it. But I do love that when they start this, I never really like clocked what they were saying too much, but like the calming like announcement that they do at the beginning where it's like Stuart Smalley is a caring nurturer, a member of several 12-step programs, but not a licensed therapist. It's like what the fuck. But he's been getting a couple. He starts the show by saying, he's like, I've just been getting a lot of negative feedback on my episode with Pee Wee Herman called "Therefore Before the Grace of God I Go I."
Oh,
But I'm allowed to have a bad show. That's something I'm allowed to do. Okay. And he's having like a little meltdown while he's doing this interview.
a mini meltdown. And
It's
then
hilarious.
when Jordan comes on, he says he's going to just call him Michael J, keep his anonymity. And Michael J is a professional basketball player for a professional basketball team. He should be very proud of that.
And Michael, we all know how you're feeling, how like when you just go out there, you're just inside saying people are going to find out I'm a fraud. Oh my God, they're going to take my show away. People are going to know what I've done. And it makes you just want to go home and curl up and eat all the Fig Newtons. And Michael's like, yeah, but that's not really my life though. So that's,
I'm actually blessed.
yeah.
I'm happy. Like I'm fortunate enough to be able to make what I make playing basketball, and I inspire others. And I like that feeling of making people want to win in life and be great.
You know what? You're right. I'm a fraud. I'm going to die penniless.
You're gonna cancel my show.
You know what? Mike, but even all this, I want you to do a special affirmation in the mirror. And this part of it's hilarious because Michael Jordan he can't help it because they're looking in the mirror and Stewart's like, all I have to do is just be the best Michael I can be because I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like me. And Michael's sitting there like trying to
Yeah.
repeat it, but not able to. It's so fucking funny.
And at the end, Mike gives him positive affirmation. He actually helps Stewart. He tells him it's not good beating yourself up this way. And he ends up giving him a hug.
Aw, Stewart. And that leads into a sketch that's sort of like it's a very short one. This is involving a character named Zoraida. Michael comes off of this Stewart sketch and he's walking into the back, and Zoraida just basically corners him. Zoraida's like a page at NBC. Um, and she's trying to get in front of him. I get it, but Mike's not having it. Now she starts getting loud, Steve. Okay. Excuse me, Mr. Jordan.
Yeah, because she has dreams of being a Laker girl, even though Mike plays for the Chicago Bulls. And she's just kind of like, oh, same difference. And he's just like, no, not really. And she accuses him of pushing her. And I feel like a lot of professional athletes face this. Groupie, she's doing all the groupie tactics to get clout. As the Migos would say, they do anything for clout. They do anything for clout.
I mean, she gives it a shot, but he leaves and she's just left going like, excuse me. Very, it gives me flashbacks to my late 20s, Steve. But after this, another just banger, Steve, The Dark Side with Nat X. We do have a special guest in this one, but I've always loved this. Everyone loves this. And this is only 15-minute show on TV, Steve. Why only 15 minutes? Because 16 would make the man itchy.
A man so black, he could be Navy.
And he's got a new segment this week called What Would Have Happened If They Were Black, which basically puts black people in a white celebrity scandal. And this week, we're talking the Pee-wee scandal. We keep going back to that. And Nat thinks that, if nothing else, Pee-wee would have gotten more time for blocking the screen with his gigantic penis.
And then after that, we get the white man can.
Oh, white man!
I haven't had that much fun since I hung out with the OJs.
And then his first guest, Steve, played by Victoria Jackson, is LaToya Jackson. And I mean, all this is some of the funniest TV because they're just shitting on LaToya. Like, she gets out and he just goes, sit your no talent ass down. Like,
yeah, well, Victoria Jackson, yeah. And it was funny, man. She's like, I'm not here to talk about my brother. I'm here to talk about my book and my career. And so Nat X asked, so like, so you went on tour in Japan? And she starts talking about, I want you to come here talking about that.
At first, he's like, man, nobody wants to hear about you. We all want to hear about Mike. I heard he has a head in a jar. Like fuck it. And then at some point, just, Spike Lee shows up. He's a huge fan. He wants to come down and he joins in, sits down next to LaToya. He actually gets an award from Nat. What was it called? The Buster?
The Buster.
For Jungle Fever. So he gets an award, and then they just start going in on LaToya again, Steve. That's when she's like, I want to talk about my book. And he's like, oh your book.
Your book. Oh, boy, your book. You had a rough childhood? I tell you about a rough childhood. There was a boy raised in Alabama. His father was a sharecropper, and his mother was a maid for homeless white people.
Man, and then
was that you? No, that was Slappy White.
And then he calls Sandman out and he says, get your not Janet ass off the stage. And Sandman just sweeps her ass off. And that's it, Steve.
After that, we got Tales from the Barbecue and how grilling pork helped defeat a Nazi submarine.
This is such a weird sketch, Steve. Even this one, though, it comes around. I was like, this is dumb as shit. But I actually started laughing my ass off by the end of it. And Tim Meadows is just like that grandpa that just has all the stories, Steve. He's barbecuing. But, he actually was a merchant marine during, I guess, World War II. And he tells them this story about grilling in like a storm on the 4th of July. It's pretty fucking wild.
Yeah, dude, his barbecue sauce will cure rheumatoid arthritis and cancer.
You see, they didn't have the updated barbecue technology the US had at the time. They boiled their meat. Not nasty motherfuckers.
I heard that one already. Well, I bet you haven't heard this one. Heard about them Nazis? Nazis? Yeah, they're like the Klan, but worse. The Klan ain't had submarines.
And the end of it, when they go into the flashback, basically, dude has this barbecue sauce. He just dumps it on a bunch of Nazis, and I guess he turned the U-boat that they came in into a giant smoker, Steve. So this guy won the war, basically.
Yeah. And he put them Nazis on marinade duty.
They did marinate that meat real well, though. I will tell you that.
Nah, have you ever had Loch Ness Monster? You ain't never lived until you ate some grilled Nessie. I must say, Ellen Cleghorne is getting some major screen time because this is her first episode.
Yeah. Also, this is the first episode for Robert Smigel, too. This is his first episode.
He's a featured player.
Yeah. He's a great writer, and he's like he's just somebody in comedy that you know, even if you don't know. He's really fucking funny and prolific.
And again, we get the musical performance by Public Enemy, and they give a memoriam to Miles Davis, 3 seconds of silence, because he had passed on that day.
But this is the song, like, even as a young, just white dude in Perrysburg, you heard Bring the Noise in I think this was in Tony Hawk, if I'm not mistaken. I just knew this song, but this performance, I wish I went to that show you were talking about, because I would love to have seen Public Enemy live, dude. It looks just fucking banging.
Oh man, it's nothing like it, bro. Bring the noise. How low can you go? Death Row, whatever I know. Public Enemy, no. And they're both wearing J's, man. And I remember having those Jordans and they got the matching Malcolm X. And that was the thing, boys and girls. If you didn't experience the early 90s, that was a thing. The Spike Lee movie was on its way. So people were getting those Malcolm X frames. People were rocking jerseys with X, ball caps with X. It was a empowering movement of sorts, man. A lot of HBCU sweaters were being worn by people who didn't even go to HBCUs. It was a fashion statement, man. Just educating yourself and just being smarter, man, being more intelligent, man. It was a good feeling, especially for a young Black kid. But up next is the elevator. And this is, in my opinion, probably the weak link. And that's why it's at the back of the episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's just basically what I think is, again, another sketch that shows Jordan's hellish life, because this has to happen to him, you know?
Yeah.
He's getting cornered. Yeah. Oh my God, are you Michael Jordan? And Dana Carvey. I mean, I honestly thought this was kind of funny just because of how, like, well, they played the joke. But he's like, Dana Carvey comes in, he's like, oh my God, you're Michael Jordan. It must be weird, you know, like, people coming up to you being like, oh my God, you're Michael Jordan, like acknowledging it. And then he just is like, oh, say, can you? He just starts belting out a song. Like, he's like, I'm actually, I'm a power singer, Mike. So you've entertained me your whole life. Let me sit back. Let me entertain you a little bit. And he just keeps belting out just the worst, like, Fergie level national anthem that you can think of, Steve.
And I think this is the third rendition of this skit, because usually he's paired up with Kevin Nealon and there's one of them on each side of the celebrity. And before this one, it was Michael J. Fox, where they're doing their like Alex P. Keaton impressions, and, like, you know, Marty McFly and shit. And then, but the original one, that's what supposedly the best one, the one where Sting hosted.
I do like at the end though, because they get to Michael's floor and he's like, okay, all right, but he blocks the door and he finishes the song. And as Michael's leaving, Dana Carvey looks at him. He's like, that was my slam dunk, Mike. Just lets Mike pass by. But man, dude, again, as far as SNL episodes, this is goated just in and of itself. But as far, if you're a sports figure and you're on SNL, try to be this good. You're not going to, but good luck.
This is a blueprint, man. You have a solid superstar of an athlete. You have great musical performance by a great group, And look at the star power when other people just have cameos. You got Jesse Jackson on that stage with Chuck D, Flavor Flav, and Spike Lee, and add George Wendt because why not? For Bill Swirsky, Bob
I mean, this
Swirsky.
is coming from a white guy, but if you want to talk about an episode of TV with like black excellence just all throughout the show, it's like
Yes,
music, sports, uh
comedy.
civil rights, like in general, like everything was on the stage. That's crazy, dude. It's fucking awesome. And I also just like what you were saying about Spike Lee and like the X like on the clothes. I know that was like something like connected to a bigger thing, but just as a filmmaker, it must have been crazy for him to see that. Like
Mhm.
it's one thing to get like good reviews and see your movie like do well, but when you can walk around cities and just see people wearing like that was a thing.
Yeah,
Like they was everywhere.
totally. It
So
was,
it's just
man.
like, man, that dude is. I feel like I don't know. He's not slept on, but it's just crazy. Like where we're at now, it seemed like he should be up there with like the Scorseses and stuff more so than he is. It's just crazy.
Well, you
He
know what it
is.
is. Politics, man. Yeah, he's definitely on mine, man.
He
But
is
politics,
for
man.
sure.
Those with those Hollyweirds. But somebody who probably didn't watch this episode of MJ and Public Enemy was probably Michael Chiklis because in 1991, September 28th, The Commish debuts on ABC.
The
Tony
commish.
Scally is the police commissioner in a small town where solutions to difficult situations often require considerable creativity. Tony's easygoing manner and clever intellect are much more useful to him than weapons or brute force in his fight against crime.
Yeah, dude, this guy like got this. Like Kamish was him being like the good cop, right? He was the good cop. And then he got that shit later on where he basically was like evil Kamish. That movie that show The Shield.
The Shield, yeah.
But this was I don't know. This guy's I like him. I do like him,
Me
but
too.
he failed me when he did that Fantastic Four movie and was played the Thing, and it was one of the most awful things I've ever seen in my life. Kamish, I think this was my grandma's show, but I did
I
see
fucked with Commish. Yeah, I remember seeing this debut. I don't even know if I was watching the MJ SNL. I wasn't tapped in like that. But these
the
early episodes,
Kamish.
man, it would last 5 seasons, 94 episodes. So you've reached syndication territory at that point, man.
This was, I mean, police procedurals were just popping off, and this was a big one. I mean, I definitely,
Yeah.
these were not my thing, but I remember they were my grandparents' thing, and this was like definitely on their watch list. And I like seeing a chick list that I like seeing actors who look like normal people. Like Chickless just rocking a balding head. He looks the part. It's vintage Mike Chiklis, Steve. Just don't watch him as playing the thing when he's like it's Cobra time. It'll make you hate
Give him that Zoidberg.
it.
Yeah, somebody who probably didn't watch Jesse Jackson recite Green Eggs and Ham or the debut of Commish is probably American trumpet player, composer, and band leader Miles Davis. The age of 65, passed away in Santa Monica, California.
I've you know I don't know all of Miles Davis, but he played trumpet and I played trumpet, so I feel a connection to Miles in that way. And I know he's a legend. And I think even in band, I played some Miles Davis songs on my trumpet. So I don't know, man. The guy's like a powerful musical. Did you ever listen to a lot of Miles Davis? Were you in on that?
It's kind of like the whole Johnny Cash and country thing. He was my intro to it because that was the name that always head and shoulders above the rest. Like, okay, I'm gonna proactively start listening to jazz.
Okay.
Because my grandfather, whenever he picked me up from school from basketball practice in the afternoons, he would have some easygoing jazz, like some Huxtable music type shit. And I was like, man, now that I'm adult, I think I can appreciate that. And Miles Davis was my go-to, man. And upon review, now that I know more about him, I feel like he is in that class and Hall of Fame of cool. Kind of like how people look at Matthew McConaughey as cool, Hall of Fame cool, the Fonz, Hall of Fame cool. Miles Davis was the embodiment of cool. He was the birth and rebirth of cool. Um, and I mean, even that's why the old lady in Billy Madison said, "Hey, if peeing your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis," because she knew what was up.
I love that. Yeah, dude. I'm just not like I don't know. Like, when do you listen to jazz, Steve? Like, for me, music is like a time and like if I'm doing something, I need like when I'm working out, I need a certain type of music. when I'm working, I need like maybe jazz would be a good thing to work to have
Yes,
on
it
in the
is.
background while you're working to like calm down. Is that like kind of when you
It's
use it?
totally.
Okay.
Totally. When you're in work mode, especially in office mode, jazz is perfect for that. You don't have lyrics interfering with your subconscious. It's all instrumental, man. So Miles Davis, man, shout out to him. He's a legend. But in 1992, the Prodigy, they released their debut album, Experience, the Prodigy. And I listened to this last night, man. You talking about workout music? Prodigy will give you that. You feel like you're in a Guy Ritchie movie.
Is this the techno band or is this the rap?
This this is the techno band. Smack
I
my
love it.
bitch. But
Yeah.
it
Fat of the
it doesn't
Land
have the
Prodigy.
fat of the land, and that's my favorite one. This has none of the ones that we're more familiar with. This is their first foray. But damn it, man, you talking about workout music? This will get you pumped.
Hell yeah. This is the only like techno I can really stomach too. Like because they if you listen to it and you get deep enough in it, it's not just techno. There's a dude like spitting on it. Like if you go to Fat of the Land, listen to a song called Diesel Power, that dude fucking spits on it. I don't remember like the guy's names and shit, but Prodigy, it's good shit.
And yeah, both of those gentlemen are no longer with us, man. So shout out to them.
Damn.
And that following year in 1993, Spice One releases 187. He wrote, and this is the G Funk era that we're in. West Coast is starting to take over. The Death Row and Spice One. He wasn't in Death Row, but we're getting a lot of West Coast flavor, man. And my favorite tracks on this was Running Out the Crack House and Trigger Gots No Heart. That's the one that I remember the most. A trigger gots no heart, because it don't.
Damn.
It really don't.
That's deep. I've never heard of this person, so I'll have to check this out.
Spice One, man, this is, in my opinion, peak Spice One, man. Early 90s. He's still active, man, but like I really like his earlier material. But on that same day in 93, KRS-One releases Return of the Boom Bap. And this has some bangers on it. This is the one that has whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police.
Beast. Yeah, hell yeah. Even like that guy's like definitely in the top. He's in the Mount Rushmore. Everyone loves KRS-One. I weirdly enough, the thing I became like really a fan of KRS-One, he was on like a lot of like conspiracy theory doc. He's like very tapped into like politics and conspiracy and stuff. So that's kind of how I got acclimated to KRS-One. But the dude's a fucking legend. And that song's fire as fuck that you mentioned.
Some of my other ones are Brown Skin Woman and Higher Level at the end. That's produced by DJ Premier. And what I didn't know was I'm a blunt being smoked and I can't wake up. I'm a blunt being smoked. For some reason, I always thought that was somebody else, but that's KRS-One and it's on this album. Okay. I'm dreaming about being a blunt.
Damn, how did we not listen to that in college, Steve? Damn.
Wasn't it on the How High soundtrack?
It might have been, but that wasn't. I don't remember that song. Definitely.
You never heard that?
No, I don't think so.
I'm a blunt being smoked and I can't wake up. I'm a blunt being smoked and I can't wake up. I'm dreaming about being a blunt. But also in 93, Adam Sandler releases They're All Gonna Laugh at You. Man, he likes releasing in September, don't he?
Dude, this is the one, Steve. This is it. At a medium pace. Toll Booth Willie, the vicious beating of a high school janitor, multiple skits. Toll Booth Willie and Medium Pace stand out. But this CD, Steve, I've told the story. This CD got me grounded. It was so dirty. I loaned this to my friend R. Lacus. I'm going to use his last name. You know him. He was in our team, right? We were friends. I think we were in, what year was this?
This was 93, so we're kicking off our fifth grade.
Fifth grade, sixth grade, somewhere in there. I'm in fifth grade, summer, whatever. But it is sixth grade. It is sixth grade.
No, this is not 93. We were starting fifth grade.
No, whatever. I give this kid my CD. Maybe it was a year after it came out, whatever. So dirty. After 20 minutes after I get home, my mom says, "Come in here. What'd you give this guy?" His mom called. And she heard this shit, and it was so dirty, we both got grounded. So To the uninitiated, if you're thinking you're getting like a click Adam Sandler or a PG Adam Sandler, this is X-rated Adam Sandler comedy. It's hilarious.
The beating of a high school janitor, the buffoon and the valedictorian, Fatty McGee, I'm so wasted, lunch lady land, the beating of a high school Spanish teacher, teenage love on the phone. And this is while he's still on SNL. Just fucking killing it, man.
I mean, Adamanium Pace is a song that's sexually like literally. I'm gonna sing a part of the song. Right, this is just a snippet. Okay. Strap on a dildo and make me give you head. May tell me to slow down and do it at a medium pace. Oh, I feel so humiliated. I'm about to blow my load. Like that's part of the song. Pretend I'm the pizza delivery guy and watch me whack off. Then you and then it goes into like love ballad. He's like, then you look into my eyes and you realize how much I enjoy loving you. Oh, I'm so sorry I spunked on my stomach. Maybe next time I'll do it at a medium pace. This is instilled in my head, Steve.
Yeah, I see.
See, you didn't even listen to it.
Forget.
Listen to that song. I just verbatim got that song off the dome.
I can't listen to it. For some reason, Spotify, they don't have full comedy albums. I don't know what it is about.
I bet it's got outlawed, Steve. It's so dirty, the world got grounded from listening to this shit. But shout out to Adam Sandler for doing this, because he was trying to get a movie career off the ground. He was on SNL, and he was releasing these insane parental advisory CDs that, I mean, was just raunchy as fuck, and I loved it. It's exactly what I needed as like a teenager or 10-year-old kid, you know, getting into trouble. Like, that's Adam Sandler, that's opera guy.
And that following year, in 1994, Jason Lyric premieres. Two brothers, survivors of family tragedy, take different life paths. One falls for a high-spirited waitress and dreams of success. The other follows a life of petty crime. Their lives reconnect in shattering fashion. Directed by Doug McHenry, starring Alan Payne, Jada Pinkett, Bokeem Woodbine, Anthony Tretch Chris, Eddie Griffin, and Forrest Whitaker.
I forgot Eddie Griffin was in this movie.
He plays comic relief.
I mean, this is a good movie. This is a good movie. It's a drama. It's tough. There's a lot of there's craziness in this.
Yeah, it takes place in Houston. One thing that I could not get over were Alan Payne and Jada Pickett's horrible faux Southern accents. It was like, you sound like you came off the short bus, Alan Payne. Like the way you talk. And I'm not saying that to denigrate Southern people in general, but it was just the way Alan Payne did it.
You hear that, Alan? Work on it.
Yeah, G Money.
Dude, we had to watch this in film school too. I think when I was in film school, the actual like technical stuff behind the scenes, like the cinematography and everything. I don't know. There's other movies, I'm sure, but this movie was taught to me for the greatness of that. It's a really good movie. It's a drama. You're not going to be laughing at it.
And Bokeem Woodbine, man, he was in a lot of good stuff in the 90s. Like, we don't talk about him enough. And he plays Alan Payne's brother, Josh. He's released from prison, and he's not a 9-to-5 guy at all. So he links up with Tretch. And Tretch, he's like, man, you nickel and diamond with these damn little crackheads and stuff, man. I know where the big bucks are. So they set up a heist. They want to rob a bank. Josh, drunk, he comes in late, just fucks up the whole plan. And then now there's a fiasco because Tretch's sister is Jada Pinkett, who's dating Alan Payne, whose brother is Josh. So there's like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing of sorts. And then it all blows up at the end, and they run off into the hills. They all live happily ever after. Not so much, but it was a decent movie.
It's good, man. I think didn't it win some awards? I feel like
no, let's not go that far. You do get to see a little bit of Jada Pinkett titty nibble with her toxic ass, and they have a sex scene where they're fucking in the grass, and you get to see Alan Payne's hairy bobbing ass for the ladies out there, and some of you
enjoy that.
Yeah, it's like it's a little bit too much Harry Bobbin ass, and they actually had to cut out some seconds because it was initially rated NC-17.
Monsters ball action there. Some fucking okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I also remember this. Maybe I caught on to that. I don't remember this as being one of those movies, but there you go, guys. Enjoy. So that's
Jada just want to feel good. But in 1995, Dennis Martinez of my Cleveland Indians fastball breaks Minnesota Twins Kirby Puckett's jaw in what becomes his final career plate appearance in Cleveland's 12-4 win.
ow,
And
ow. Fucking broke his jaw. I can't. I got hit with a baseball in my nose as a kid, Steve.
yeah,
But to take a major league fastball to the, it was his last game ever.
yeah,
Fuck. Was it?
that's tough.
Was he just close to retirement anyway, or did it do like significant, like some damage that we're not?
Man, he probably could have went to the end of the decade, probably into the 2000s, man.
Oh man,
But
dude.
at that point though, he had already established himself. He won a couple with the Minnesota Twins in like 1991, I believe, and then in 86 or 87. So he Hall of Famer already at this point, several time All-Star. But that it's just unfortunate, man. And I really hate that it happened against my team, Cleveland Indians. Dennis
Mm.
Martinez, he's no slouch. He's a legitimate Hall of Famer, man. He had, broke some records, man, and set some.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, but that does suck, man. I mean, also that's dangerous. If you take a baseball to the dome, that can definitely, that can sandlot you. James Earl Jones style, like, turn the lights out. So,
Yeah, man, those helmets can't cover everything. But in 1996, Common Law debuts on ABC, and it would last one season, 9 episodes, and 5 of them unaired. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because this was Greg Giraldo's starring vehicle, man, and RIP to him. And it didn't last obviously that long, man. But the Latino community, they reached out because they actually were supporting it. This was the first time they had an upstanding Hispanic character, because he played a lawyer, and it reflected his real life, because Greg Giraldo, smart guy, he went to Harvard, and he actually had a short stint in the legal world, man, as an attorney.
yeah, yeah.
But
I didn't know he had this. I just knew he was like a great stand-up comedian, and especially like he got famous for like those roasts and stuff. But
okay,
he was always like a guy who, as far as like being a comedy fan, the dude was just fucking a legend, man. He did all those, like, he did like Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn and stuff through the '90s. He's part of the New York comedy scene, and yeah, man, it's crazy. How many episodes did it get?
it got 9 total, but 5 are unaired.
Damn, that's crazy. I'll give
Yeah.
you a show and just be like, nah, it's not working. But
Well, they
sorry.
gave it a death slot, and that's what, like, when Hispanic people, when they were reaching out, that was one of the things they spoke on. They gave it a death slot of Saturday night at 9:30, which at this point, like, who that's a horrible slot to put it in,
Yeah.
man. And you got to see his bio, like, documentary. They did a documentary on I believe it was one of those series, Dark Side of Comedy,
Yep.
maybe.
I think I saw that.
And they talked about his stint on Common Law, man, and it was kind of a sore spot, because, like, when people would roast him, they would mention that. And then 1997, Jenny debuts on NBC, and that will last one season, 17 episodes, starring your girl, Miss Jenny McCarthy.
They really tried to give her every opportunity, but I will say, on defense of Jenny McCarthy's comedy, she did have an MTV show called The Jenny McCarthy Show that was a sketch comedy show that was actually pretty funny. And she's still one of, to me, like my top notch, one of my crushes from back in the day, Steve. Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah, that girl know how to sexy,
Gosh,
for sure, for sure.
my God. That's one of like the quintessential '90s hotties right there. She might be bad shit, I don't know, but I don't. She just, mm,
It don't matter at that point, right? You
yeah, it
take
does.
that chance. You'll
Yeah,
take those penitentiary chances.
whatever. It's fine. Fuck this bad
Yeah.
decision. It's worth it. Let me see them
And
titties.
And speaking of baddies, in 1998, Britney Spears' debut single "Baby One More Time" is released. It would become the top selling single of 1999, selling over 10 million units. It was also the biggest hit single of 99. The Baby One More Time music video was ranked as number 3 on Billboard's 2010 list of best music videos of all time. Man,
It's time and place, Steve. I mean, I remember this time, and I was very interested in this music video. You
yeah,
know?
in this era of Britney, oh man, this is top tier. Britney now, however, somebody needs to take her damn phone.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. I don't know what happened, but this, and also we lived in a town that had a Catholic high school, so like we would hang out with Catholic girls, and this just was, added fuel to that fire. I remember that. But
Right
Brittany,
up our
even now, I'd
wheelhouse.
hang out with Brittany. She seems like she's probably a good time. She's hanging, she's partying.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
You don't know. She
I
seems
don't
like
know,
she
man.
might be a problem, but I mean, just in terms of like going out and having a drink, we go out and party. Brittany happened in the '90s. It'll be a good time.
She's got a lot of shit that might spill into my plate, and I don't know if I can take that. But in 1999, that '70s show is airing Garage Sale. First time talking about that Foreman family. The Foremans have a garage sale to earn some extra cash. Hyde doesn't have anything to sell, so he bakes special brownies to sell. Kitty, Red, Bob, and Midge eat some of the brownies unsuspectingly. Fez kisses Jackie, who tells Donna it's the best kiss she's ever had.
Yeah, this is a classic episode for this show. Funny, it's the first time we're talking. We only have a limited amount of time to talk about the show, Steve, unfortunately. But if
Yeah,
this is the only one we get, this is a bang. This is a good one. Um,
for sure.
Obviously, there's some weirdness because Hyde, what's his face, is on all these weird allegations. So we're gonna just avoid that. And there comes a time at this episode where it's weird. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
But this is not one of I gotta say, Steve, this is a syndication show, one of these shows that was always on like at around like 7 o'clock, and the family would be eating. It was just on. So I do like the show. You seem to be more of a fan of the show.
Oh,
um
yeah.
so
This era.
yeah, but my favorite characters in this, Kitty and Red, obviously. And
Okay.
I just, it sucks because Hyde was my guy. That was the guy I
Hyde
wanted to
was my
be
guy.
like. And just I guess now, no, that's not who I want to be like.
He had those one-liners. He was the loner. I feel like he was their version of the Fonz for some reason. He was like, from the beaten path, or should I say the Sean, like Corey's homeboy
Yeah, cool. He's like the bad boy friend. He's
from the broken home. Like my
exactly.
buddy has a real family. Like I like this house more because like man, my life sucks at home.
Well, and at this point, he's living there. Like this family is his
Yeah.
family because they're letting him live in the basement. So as this starts, everybody's hanging out. Red and Kitty come in and they announce that there is a garage sale today. Um, Hyde, like Steve said in the intro, he's like, man, I just wish there was something I could provide to you guys. Like, I wish I could, give something to this because I'm living here and you guys are so cool. And Kitty's like, well, or somebody says like have a lemonade stand or have like a bake sale. He's like, I beat up people with fucking bake sales. I'm not gonna do that. And she's like, but people, maybe make some brownies or something. And that's like where Hyde gets this idea. And Steve, this is insanity. I gotta say, as a kid who would be like scared to get in trouble for this is the most wildest of selling drug brownies at a family garage sale. I mean, bravo, but the cojones it takes to do this,
Hey Matt, people love brownies though.
I'm shit. Sign me up. I mean, he's baking these bitches in front of them. Like they don't smell that. You guys don't smell that.
Everybody loves brownies.
So Eric says, as they're going through that the conversation, Eric's like, no, people don't like brownies, and Hyde's like, but they like my brownies, that, and that sets them off. Um, then we get the song, which I do have to say, as far as memorable theme songs go, it's not my favorite, but it is a memorable
Eh,
theme song, Steve.
it's memorable. Maybe syndication does something with that.
It's like the Drew Carey song. It's like my Perfect Strangers is my perfect theme song. It's emotional, it's epic. But
It's
like
epic as fuck.
yeah, so I don't know, but I do like the theme song. Sorry, I keep sidetracking.
And then like now Hyde's making the brownies, and Kitty walks up on him and she's like, I know what you put in those brownies. And they're shooting a brick like, whoa, you do? Yeah. A whole lot of love. I love Kitty.
And Kelso's like, there's a whole big bag of love in those brownies.
I love that.
And as also, this is something I totally forgot about. Eric has a sister who's older, and she's like, I mean, slutting it up here. She comes in looking hot, looking Farrah Fawcett-ish, and she basically is here to just cock tease Kelso constantly. She's licking batter off of her like fingers. And I was a fat kid. This would never have happened to me, but I mean, this is craziness, Steve. I mean, what would you do in this situation?
Look, man, Lori Foreman, I used to ooze over her. She knew how to
Woo!
slut sexy, Miss Sherry, however you want to say it, man. I like that. Like
Yeah.
like it was just so sultry and slutty. I like it. Loved it.
Yeah.
And Kelso, man, like I would be doing the same thing, like, oh,
The
yeah.
older chick too. I mean, this is like
Older too?
this guy's getting like a porno fantasy life. He's got a hottie already, and then he's got this other chick like, hey Kelso. And this happens a lot. I think they eventually hook up, but you know, that happens. It's hot. Lori, what's up? And Eric's like sitting there like, dude, Hyde, you gotta fucking chill out on this. Like, I'm the one that's gonna get shit on here. Like, so chill. And Hyde's like, dude, I'm not an idiot. I made these brownies with the shits, and then I made some fucking regular ones for the squares. So if somebody comes up with like a fucking priest outfit on, they get a regular brownie. I thought of all this. So I wouldn't be my thing is like you would smell it. Somebody would walk in and be like, man, what the fuck is this smell? But you know, it's happening, Steve. Uh, disaster is about to happen.
And so now they're at the garage sale, and we find out that Lori gave up Eric's GI Joes, and then Eric proceeds to call her a bitch right in front of Red, and Red gives him that look, that dad look. And he's just like a Rooney Dooney, real bitch, a Rooney Dooney.
I do also like that, and that will come back to haunt them. But I like also Bob, who is Donna's dad, the guy with like the weird like fro. He comes to the garage sale and he notices like a gift that he gave Red a while back is actually there. He's like, "Hey, that's a gift I gave you, Red. Don't you want to, take that off the table?" And Red just this is why I like Red. I hope I end up like this guy someday. He's like, no, Bob, that's not a mistake. That's a dumb gift. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna sell that bitch. Right in front of your face.
He said that because right before Midge sees her kissing dolphin statue that she got for Kitty. And it's just like she said, like, this is on sale. And she was like, oh, for Red, I told you not to do that. I'm gonna put it right back in the house. And then that's when Bob's like, that pocket fisherman that we got you. I see that. And then Red just sets it straight with him. It's a dumb gift.
And I do also like that while Hyde's selling this is all happening. This is a big ass garage sale, which I do miss this about living in like a Perrysburg neighborhood. I used to love going to garage sales like in a suburban place and getting those like little Nintendo game hookups, like maybe a mom selling a Super Nintendo game, those things. I wish when I went to one, Hyde was sitting at one of them selling weed brownies because he's out there. And to get one, you kind of have to be in the know, Steve, or at least be able to answer one question correctly, which is, have you now or ever had an affiliation with the police department? So that might raise a red flag if a off-duty cop shows up, but he's selling brownies, Steve, and he's pulling in some dough, and I love that.
Yeah, he makes some decent bread for a teenager. And one of the stipulations, like Eric, he can't go to the movies and see Goodbye Girl with everybody because he has to stick around and help the family at the garage sale. And so as they're leaving, he kisses Donna goodbye, and Fez says, I guess this is goodbye, girl. Jackie hears this as she walks by, and she's like, Fez, you're so funny. And Fez, he immediately gets the idea, like, yeah, she's feeling the kid.
Yeah, dude. He's like, oh yeah, movie time. So now we're going to a movie, Steve. It's just Kelso, it's Donna, it's Fez, it's Jackie. So we got a couple here, and Fez is in the middle, Donna on the side. At first, I thought Fez is trying to cut a hole in the popcorn and throw your dick in it. Because
Yeah.
it looks like that. Because she's like grabbing in the thing. He's got the thing on his D, and his inner monologue's like, "Yeah, she wants it." Because she's just in there grabbing like popcorn and shit. Which I've never had. Would you have? Do you think that ever happened, Steve? Do you think a guy ever cut a hole in a popcorn thing and put his dick in it in a theater?
For sure.
No,
For
seriously,
sure.
and that worked.
I wasn't there, but I'm just, this is hypothetical, right? Rhetorical, however you want to say it. No,
I don't believe it ever happened. I think it's an old wives' tale, Steve.
Because it's been said so many times, you think there isn't one asshole since the history of time, of theaters, of cinemas, that hasn't done that.
I'm just going to run you through the semantics of this process, Steve, and you tell me if you could do this. Maybe as a younger man in high school, I could, but guy has to get a hole in the popcorn. Where do you do that? In the theater? That'd be kind of weird just to pull a knife out and cut a hole in the bottom of a popcorn thing. I think that's sus. Then you got to get your dick
guns
hard.
in there.
Then you got to get your you got to get your dick hard. Then you got to keep your dick hard in rough, dry ass popcorn while somebody eats enough to get to your dick. So I don't think it happened, Steve. I'm just throwing it out there. And I'm sorry, everybody, to keep sidetracking this Alf of That 70s Show. But Fez, he's not doing this. But Steve, I don't think it's ever been done. End of story. Case closed.
I've heard worse.
Okay.
People going through yeah. But anyways, he just dumps the popcorn out and tries to empty it out a little bit, and she reaches for more popcorn, and he just goes in for the kiss. It's like Kelso's passed out, so he figured this is perfect timing. But he lays one on her, and
she
it's long enough.
Too. She's like gets into it, Steve.
Immediately. And they kiss long enough for Kelso to wake up and just give him a haymaker straight to the face. Pow, right in the kisser.
And I like the fourth wall like break here where he like it stops. Like Kelso freezes like with his fist in front of Fez's face, and Fez is like, "Let me think what I could have done to avoid this situation." And he goes through a couple of options, but he's like, "Nah, couldn't have done it." And he gets popped in the face, Steve. And rightfully so. I mean, the balls of it. I mean, I know he's a foreign exchange student, but god damn, dude.
And back at the Foreman household, Hyde, he's counting his money up, man, from all them brownie sales. And at some point, the math ain't mathing. And he's trying to trace his tracks, man. And he realizes that he left the special brownies in the oven.
How do you, I mean, this is insanity. Like the weed brownies are the important ones. That's the one I want near me all the time. But he did it. They realize it. And then they jump, him and Eric run upstairs. They're like, "Oh shit, let's go get those." But then when they get up in the kitchen, all the adults are just fucking hammering these things. And
the damage is done.
Yeah, dude. And I can tell you from previous experience, a homemade weed brownie can wreak insane effects. So these parents are just high. They're loaded, Steve.
And they're having the conversation. Now they're having their smoke circle session. Yeah. And Red says, "I'm glad the plant's closing. I get to do my own thing." Your own thing? And Kitty just starts laughing. And Midge, who is another hottie, I always liked her too. She was so bad. Yeah. That's so hip. Do your own thing. Hip. I like that word, hip. Kind of pops, you know? Hip. I could see my own mouth.
Bob's just facing chips this whole time too. He's just eating the fuck out of some chips.
I really like salt.
Also, as they're talking about, I think somebody admits to wanting some cake, and Midge is like, "I jumped out of a cake once." And I'd love that. And suddenly there's a knock on the door. And I love this because this happens like when you're in these situations as you're like, "It's the cops. It's the cops." That's their first, everyone's like, "Oh my God," even though they're adults, everything's fine. And while like that's happening, I love Kitty because this whole time she's just been like chuckling and laughing, but she like straightens up and she's like, Red's he's just a mean grump, but he is insane in bed. Like she just throws that out there. I was like, damn,
Just
man.
non sequitur fun fact right there.
Hell yeah.
It Red goes to see who it is at the door, and he comes back in like no time. And Kitty's like, "Who was that?" It's somebody who wanted the car, and I sold it for $200. It's like, and so Kitty's like, "You sold Eric's car? Oh no!"
Yeah. First of all, I'd be fucking. This would be one of those situations. I don't know how I'd be because to see my parents stoned out of my mind would almost be amusing as fuck. But I get it. He's lost his car, Steve. The Vista Cruiser. That's it. That's a Concorde, Steve. We've had a vehicle like this. We had that gang hangout vehicle. So as we find that out, we come back. And just to mention it, I love one thing I do love about that 70s show. They have those weird, like, interstitial, like, transition things where it's like a slow mo of them, like, jumping or whatever. I like that. I
Yeah,
think that's cool. But then we cut back and everything's reversed now. The parents had the weed circle thing. And instead of the parents, you know, lambasting the kids, Eric is lambasting his dad. He's like, what's going on here, Red? This is
yeah.
irresponsible. Like there are consequences to life. He's talking to his dad like a kid, and it's hilarious.
Like it's like he's taking over Red's role, and Hyde is kind of being the kitty person. To be honest, Red, we're a little disappointed. You're not supposed to sell things that aren't yours. Who did you sell the car to? A guy named Peter Cottontail, hopping down the bunny trail, hippity hoppity, Easter's on its way.
And I do like to call out also when you see through like Red's perspective of them like yelling at him, he's high, so like the background's like waving. It's very cool
Yeah,
looking and trippy. Um, and so Red's useless. He's high as fuck. And then we cut to Donna and Jackie, who are fresh from the movie, and they're talking about what happened. Jackie's like, "Yo, Fez kissed me, and it's changed my life." And John is like, "It was that good?" And she's like, "Yeah, you know that thing he does with his tongue when he's like rolls his R's? He did that shit in my mouth." So, and Donna just evacuates all the moisture in her body, thinking about Eric doing that. But there, even Jackie's just like, she doesn't know what to do about it. She's conflicted, Steve. Fez laid it on her.
she really likes kissing, Matt. And so now Eric's energy turns on Hyde because he's like, dude, what were you thinking? Oh, you weren't thinking. Now my folks are fried and I have no car. You mess with Mary Jane, you get your toes stepped on.
I love that. I love him. Eric is the greatest. Like he's good at playing the adult. He's so like proper. He's the good boy. And
Everybody does well. Like, I love this
but
show
my
for
thing
that.
is like in this scenario though, he's completely justified and righteous in it because the his car is the medium to get away from everything. Like he's the only one that has like the access to this. So I'd be like, dude, you fucked us all. And also, I wanted some of them weed brownies, and now my mom and dad got them all. So this is some bullshit.
And he feels vindicated for that.
He should. I mean, goddamn. So as they're talking about that, and Eric's going off on them, um, Donna comes in. She's unaware of what's going on, so she gets updated that Red and Kitty are stoned, and she's like, "I got, please let me see this." And then she comes to the realization that her parents are also stoned, which sends her into a fright. She runs upstairs. But then Red comes downstairs and he's got a big smile on his face, Steve. And it's not just the weed coursing through his veins. He thought of the guy who he sold the car to. And Red and or Eric and Hyde are like, great, who is it? And he's like, I forgot. And they're like,
I just remember the person.
yeah. And they're like, great, thanks, dude. And he's like, but I did get paid. It might be on the check the guy gave me. So they're like, dude, you fucking idiot, stoner.
Yeah.
This is very
And,
realistic stoner behavior, too. Some of it. I don't think I'd be selling a car, Steve, but I've been there. I've been rocked a few times like this.
and now Fez is in the basement by himself, and Kelso walks in, and he kind of mocks Fez. Hey, I'm Fez, and in my country, we make out with our friends' girlfriends because la di da.
And then Fez straight up comes. He's like, I'm sorry. And he just saw it. He admits, he's like, Jackie laughed at my joke. So I thought that meant I was in. Like, she wanted the dick. And Kelso does his best explanation of why that's incorrect. This is not how it works. You know, she doesn't love you or want to fuck you because some people are just funnies. You know, you can just have a joke. It's not
I
that.
am pretty hilarious.
But they make up, they're buddies. Uh, and I do like Fez just going, he's like, I'm just lonely. I love Fez. Fez is a funny character, man. It's such a weird character. Um, but I do like that Fez points out, like, he's like, but you are trying to have sex with Eric's sister. And basically just calls Kelso a whore. He's like, you're a
Yeah,
whore.
but that's it.
Oh, fucking Wilder Valderrama. What is his name? Valderrama? That dude killed
Wilder
this, man.
Valderrama, yeah.
Yeah. And then we cut from that. You know, Kelso, Fez, they're best friends again. Cut to the apartment. Red, Eric, and Hyde are at the guy, like in the hallway of like the apartment of the guy who bought this thing, the car. And Red's, still rocked. Before they can even knock, he pulls a fucking fire extinguisher off the wall and just sprays them down. It's like, dude, what the fuck, dude? Handle your shit a little bit better, bro.
And they knock on the door, and it ends up being the daughter of the man who bought the car. And they come to retrieve it, they said, and she's not even liking the car. You coming to get that piece of junk my dad bought for me?
Damn, this kid is reckless. She's like, yeah, he bought that piece of shit for me. Fucking. Yeah. And basically, they just deal with like this awful attitude, and where this chick's like, yeah, I've been waiting for somebody to come take this piece of shit off. Here, give me the check. Here's the keys. Fuck off. And she just like slams the door in the face. And to bring back that joke from the earlier, Red looks at everybody and he's like, what a bitch-a-rooney dooney. And she is, Steve. That chick's a real menace, you know?
Isn't she a redhead, dude?
Yep. I didn't want to point it out. I'm trying not to, but hey.
I always do. It's like Pokemon. I try to catch them all. And now Donna and Eric, they got some alone time in the basement, and she wants to try that rolling tongue, the rolling R thing.
Man, God bless. Donna, Steve, I like the tomboy in this. Jackie's hot. Everyone's hot that we talked about, but hot Donna, that's mine. If I was in that 70s show, that's the one I'd be going for. So I envy Eric.
Even though she's ginger?
I don't care, Steve. And she gets black and blonde hair like later on in her life. I've seen it all. I'd put up with it. But I do think this is where I wanted to point out like sort of the weird crossover with real life where Hyde sort of is talking about what everyone's like, did you learn your lesson? And Hyde is like, yeah, I did learn a lesson that I can do whatever I want with no consequences. So thanks. I'm going to go just chill out and enjoy it. Did he give the money for the weed brownies to the parents, Steve? I'm wondering about that too, you know?
You never know with that Hyde.
But I didn't like hearing that and then knowing what's happened in real life. You know, I don't like that. I don't really follow the news like that. If it's negative, I try to just, understand that it's there and not really dig into the dirty details. But I know he's going to jail for a long time. That's crazy. This show is fucking fantastic. But I'm wondering how long this show's going to last with the stink of that on it.
Exactly. Yeah, because it might be on Peacock for a very short time, an even shorter time.
Yeah.
We have less opportunity to talk about it, but I'm glad we were able to talk about this one because it does stand out. And the thing about the casting, I've said this before, man, but like everybody played their parts well, even to the slut sister, the neighbor parents, and their role, and everything was authentically 70s. Everybody looked the part, the decor, the furniture. It just had that 70s vibe, man.
Even when they got Chong involved, like he was they brought him in and he was like you said, the casting was just all top notch, even when they started adding more characters and stuff. And I think Hyde had a black sister at one point, I believe. Didn't he have like a family, or maybe it was like a love interest? I forget.
Something like that.
But nearly that chick was fine because I remember I had a huge crush on her. And but Donna, love you. And one last thing about this episode, at the credits, we do get one last final joke where Eric and his Lori are watching Red and Kitty eat dinner, and they're high, so they're just inhaling this huge amount of food. They stop. Red looks at everybody's like, you know what's good for dessert? Kitty looks over at him and is like, hot dogs. And they're like, he's like, you read my mind, baby. And she's like, I'll boil the water. And he read, I've never been this high, but he's like, there's no time to boil the water. And they, I assume, inhale a package of
Just
raw hot dogs. And that's disgusting.
just raw doggy.
I don't
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, this is I remembered this episode from back in the day from watching it because it's so funny and it hit a lot of boxes that I like, especially the weed thing. But you're right, man. Like you can fuck a show up with casting, and man, I think in this case it made the show. You know?
It did, man. Like, and everybody owned their roles, what was asked for them, and like a lot of people springboarded off this. I think everybody got some shine that led into other things. Even with Fez, man, he did Yo Mama. There were like several seasons of that. You know,
He's
Eric
on like
Foreman.
CSI now, dude. I mean, that guy's on like a
Yeah.
procedure or was recently. So yeah, dude, all of them except like some of the minor characters, but like Kitty, Red. I mean, they were already established, especially Red. That dude was a legend. Shout out RoboCop.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's weird. It is weird when these shows have like this weird like stink on it because of some weird thing that one of the cast members did. But this episode killed. And shout out to those weed brownies. I would have loved one. I would have loved to try one. They look great.
It also in 1999, Method Man and Redman released Blackout. And man, I remember buying this when it came out, and dude, it still holds up, stands the test of time. Like, so many hits. Like, both of these guys, in my opinion, were at the peak of their careers, like in popularity, just in demand. You know, Method Man, he had just done that song with Limp Bizkit, giving him some more crossover appeal. They were doing that tour with Jay-Z, Ja Rule, the whole Def Jam thing. That was hot.
Yeah.
And Def Jam, they blessed us with another one.
Does this have the Rockwilder on it? Is this the one with
This
that?
is the one
Yeah.
with Rockwilder.
So I always just thought though, like this is one of those times where you say in your head like, man, it would be so cool if those guys were like did something together, and we got that, and it was perfect. Usually some of these things disappoint or don't deliver. This album's fantastic, and this like collaboration between these two dudes yielded so much more than music. I mean, the movies, just them as like personalities being together, it's such a good mix.
And this serves as a precursor to the movie How High. I think because of the success of this and seeing the chemistry that these two have, man, that made them even more bankable
Yeah. And I
in
mean,
terms of personality, man.
did you this is just like a quick memory. Did we see Method Man in Bowling Green, Ohio, Steve? Am I making that up?
No, you're making that up. I saw these guys both though in Houston twice.
I think we saw Method Man. There was a bar that was near the end of town that was like a rock bar that,
I wasn't with y'all, but he did come to Bowling Green. If you
dude,
did
I'm
go,
telling you,
because
I
yeah,
went to that. And that bar, they had Method Man. People were holding him up on their hands. He was holding on to the ceiling. There was some structure on the ceiling. He was rapping on top of people, walking the crowd in that venue. I forget what the fuck that place is called, but dude puts on a great show is all I'm trying to say. So I wish I could have seen them together, but man, this album is dope. Method Man and Redman. I don't need to say anything else, Steve.
and also in '99, Creed releases Human Clay, and this is a really popping album, man. That they sold a shit ton of these by the truckload. Like, I think this was the peak of Creed's career, man, when people
Yeah.
were really like still vibing with him before Scott Stapp kind of like, succumbed to his demons, if you will.
Yeah, I just this. If you were here when the album came out, I think people kind of have this cheesy vibe of Creed, where it's like this is cheesy, this is fucking shitty rock music or whatever it is. But like, I love Creed, I love Scott Stapp, and it fell out of grace for me because of my musical tasting change. But I
Yeah.
remember just blaring the fuck out of this album. I mean, the ones that we know, but I feel like there was some bangers on this album that I can't even recall.
Are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready? Like, man, he can belt out those tunes, man. And then, of course, can you take me? Like, dude, he just, it's a bad motherfucker, dog.
Hell yeah,
That's a
dude.
bad motherfucker, dog. But any callbacks, honorable mentions, or takeaways?
Just real quick, I mentioned it last week, and I just wanted to tell everybody just my review of it real quick. That new Mortal Kombat game came out. I was excited about it. I love it. So if you like Mortal Kombat, you're gonna love this because basically you get a new Mortal Kombat, and then it turns into a thing where you're fighting. It's like Mortal Kombat multiverse shit. So it's like Raiden's fighting three Raidens and shit, and it sounds convoluted, but the way they've made the video game now, like the single player experience is like you basically watch a movie that's like this Mortal Kombat movie, and every once in a while you just get in the fight. Like you fight the fight that you're seeing, and then it goes back into a movie. So if you like single player games and you like Mortal Kombat, I definitely recommend this. And you get Jean Claude Van Damme playing Johnny Cage, and that's fantastic. So how about you, Steve?
And I wish I had the time. I miss video games. I miss being able to sit down and do that for hours.
I
But
don't have any hours. It's just I bought it. That's the one thing. It's like I'm so old now. I have one game basically a year that I get into. I guess this is my game. If a GTA comes out, I'll try to throw some time at it. But I'm with you, man. It sucks being older and like video games used to be my shit, and I just can't get into them as much anymore. But that game, if you like Mortal Kombat, I said fuck it. I'm just gonna play it and go at my speed. It's worth it. And it is fun. You don't have to like. It's a fighting game. You can get put it away pretty quickly. So check it
I
out.
I like Mortal Kombat and I hate adulthood. But the only thing I have is in 1992, Fresh Prince is airing the episode That's Snow Lady, That's My Cousin. And that is the one where Ashley is finally going to the same school as Carlton and Will. And she's like seeing all the other girls get attention and like no one's looking at her. They see how Carlton and Will are catcalling girls. It's like, so she starts dressing up like some of those girls. And that's when Will belts the line, and that's no lady, that's my cousin. And one of her suitors is a young Lorenz Tate. He's got the hots for her. And meanwhile, Will is pursuing a young Garcelle Bouvet Fancy from the Jamie Foxx show. So like there's some all-stars. And please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Tell your sister to take me higher. Check out Crushgasm with Kendra B, our guy, Councilman Clark, on the YouTubes. And don't worry, be movie with the man and way. This is Steve G and Mad G with Happened in the 90s.
90s.
Die, you fucking prick! I hope you choke on a fucking bottle cap, you fucking son of a fuck! Eat shit! Eat my shit!